Hello, readers and writers. I'm MJ, and let's talk about Goodreads' list for the 60 most popular science fiction books of the past 3 years. I know Goodreads lists can be kind of problematic, but they're also really fun to look at. You can go check out my video where we look at the fantasy version of this list, but I also wanted to look at the science fiction version because science fiction is my favorite genre. And I wanted to see which of these books I have read and which ones I have not. So let's go ahead and take a look at the list. Here we are. All right on this list, we have The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I loved this book. It was fantastic, extremely well written. I am a huge fan of Emily St. John Mandel and will probably read anything that they write at this point. So it's definitely a good start to this list. Next, we have The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. I don't think I heard of this book at all. It definitely makes me wonder what type of science fiction that this is. Our Missing Hearts. I have heard about this in passing. I don't think I realized that it was actually considered science fiction. So I'm interested if you all have read it, what you think about it, and if I should pick it up. The School for Good Mothers I have heard about and is on my list to pick up, but I don't actually have it. I just haven't gotten around to reading it, honestly. But it's definitely one that is on my radar. So right now we're starting off really strong at one book that I have read. All right, on to the next line. This is definitely going to be better. A Psalm for the Wild Built. This is the first book in the Monk and Robot series. I have read this. I loved it. Becky Chambers is definitely one of my favorite authors. I have a lot of favorite authors, but she's definitely among them. And the second book of this is out, and I want to pick this up. And I need to have it on my shelf. So, definitely a good read. In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune was actually the top of my list of books that I loved for last year, 2023. I love the anxiety rep in this. I love the asexual rep in it, the neurodiverse rep in general. It was just an excellent, excellent read. Speaking of excellent reads, How High We Go in the Dark. Oh my gosh, this is such a fantastic book. It is a collection of short stories that build upon themselves to kind of create this entire world that goes about like this virus, and you kind of follow people's different perspective and impact until it comes to a fascinating conclusion. It was so well put together, so well done. I definitely want to, like, in the back of my head, I have something that as an author I would like to do that would be different than this, obviously, but that same kind of genre of creating an entire world out of short stories. This book is fantastic. I highly, highly recommend it. And Upgrade by Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch is an interesting author for me. First of all, I have read Upgrade. I've read a lot of Blake Crouch. He's written a lot of books, even before he became popular. I started to read some of his like very later backlog books and found out I really didn't like them as well as I liked Dark Matter and Resurgence. Even his the Pines trilogy. I'm not sure I'm the whole name of that series. I thought that Upgrade was more reminiscent of his earlier works, which I did not like as much, which made me really sad, honestly. But of that, I have read 4 books, so we're up to a total of 5 books read. The Candy House is one I have seen around a lot and definitely is on my TBR to pick up. Changing All Stars I've seen around, but honestly, I didn't realize that it was science fiction. I don't really know what it's about at all, but I probably will look into it more now, now that I know it's science fiction. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau is one that has been recommended to me, but the author tends to be kind of hit or miss for me. So I am going to absolutely pick this up, but I'm not sure how I'm going to relate to the writing. And Bewilderment, I have never heard of at all. Um, what I guess is surprising to me. I just looking at I want to pick this up. Um, so it's definitely going to be added to my TBR. And I'm still at 5 books read. All right, The Ferryman. Um, I do want to say that I've heard of this, but I have not read it, um, or really looked into it, honestly. Lightbringer, Red Rising Saga number 6. I am gonna have an unpopular opinion, but I actually DNF this series. I tried so hard. I reread the first book at least 3 times, and I think like the first 3 books at least 3 times, trying to get into this series, and I just couldn't do it. And I finally had to be like, you know what? It's okay that it's not for me. And it's okay that other people adore this series. It's fine. And I had to let this one go. So this is a DNF series for me. I have read the Cognitive Preservation Society. I believe I still have it on my bookshelves. I'm not sure. I may have unhauled it, honestly. It was fine. John Ascleski, I enjoy his writing. I think some of his books are definitely more impactful to me than others, but I find all of them enjoyable reads. I don't think I've ever read anything of his I didn't at least enjoy. But this is one that was less impactful and more just a fun read. Which honestly, Starter Villain is kind of the same way, except that it stayed with me a bit more. But it really is just a fun science fiction read about talking cats. I mean, that's not really what it's about, but that's a part of it. I do highly recommend Starter Villain if you just want fun science fiction. Um, yeah, it's just entertaining. So we're now at 7 books that I've read and 1 series that I have DNF'd. Light from Uncommon Stars is a fantastic book. It is trans and queer rep in it. It is fantastical science fiction. I adore it. It is on my shelves and highly recommend everyone to pick it up. It's such a great read. The Ministry of Time is a newer book. I am halfway through it. So I started reading it and listening to the audiobook of it, and it came due at the library, so I had to return it. Um, it's okay. I'll finish it, but I don't think as of yet it is the best book I've ever read. Like it's not a bad book, but definitely not one that's necessarily has stayed with me. The Light Pirate, I have never heard of this book before right now at all. I don't know what it's about in the slightest. So let me know if you've heard of it and if I should pick it up. Okay, Note of the Night, I haven't read, but I've read the first book in this series. I actually picked it up to reread it to actually get through the whole series and then put it back down. Only because while I was prepping for moving and everything, I was just I was just like picking everything up and putting everything back down. I couldn't get through a book at all. And so it's just one of those books that I got caught up in that cycle. I did really enjoy it the first time. It is definitely a little bit more YA than I remember, probably, but I do really want to finish the series. Um, but as of now, I have not read this one. I also haven't read the series at all, and I know I need to pick up The Expanse. I have the first three books in trade back, and I have been meaning to start the series. It's just such a long commitment, and I know I need to like get over it, but I just pick up the first one. But I haven't yet. So, oh, speaking of updating my totals, so we're at 8.5 books read and one series DNF. The Future I own. So this is one I definitely want to pick up. I have it in ebook. I've been meaning to read it. I've heard so much about it, and I just haven't done it yet. System Collapse, I have read. I love the Murderbot Diaries. I love this whole series. I've actually wanting to pick it up just to do a reread of it, and so I may at some point. The Mountain of the Sea I own. It is currently in a TBR box. No, it's not. It's in the box that I just opened, so it's one that I will be picking up soon. So now we're at 9.5 books read and one series DNF'd. Land of Milk and Honey, I've heard about, but I have not read yet. I haven't read anything, I don't think, anything by Adrian Chapathy. Um, it he's an author that I've wanted to start reading through his works, and maybe he'll be like every year I kind of focus in on a specific author, and I think at one point, hopefully soon, he'll be one of the authors I pick because I really do want to get into all of his books. The Marriage Act. This is another book that I haven't heard of until right this moment. So I know nothing about it. And Annie Bot. I want to say this cover looks familiar, but it may be for an entirely different book, honestly. I'm guessing this is about artificial intelligence or androids, but that's just based off the title. So no new reads on that list. The Deep Sky. Okay, I really like The Deep Sky. It was a great read. It's about a bunch of individuals that go into deep space, and they are either women or trans non-binary because they have to. Part of the plan is they have to give birth and during the voyage, and some of the plot building of this book I did not understand at all, but the queerness of it, the writing of it, and just like the spaceship epic fantasy or science fictionness of it. That's not a word, but hopefully you get it. I just really enjoyed it. It was a great read. Ascension. Um, I haven't read this at all. It looks fascinating though. I love speculative fiction. So let me know if I should pick this up. Leech is another one I haven't heard of before today. I am feeling very not on top of my game. There's so much science fiction that I haven't even heard of. And I have felt like I like I've been reading a lot. So I'm just not sure what's up with that. The blood trials I have heard of. This is on my TBR, but I haven't picked it up yet. I don't think I actually own it. It's more just that I put on TBR because I wanted to read it. Same thing with Termination Shock. Neil Stevenson is an author that I know is keeps popping up, but I haven't actually read anything of his, and so I do want to rectify that at some point. Um, Tell Me an Ending is a book that I have seen around, but again, I haven't picked up. Poster Girl is one of my favorite books. Veronica Roth's newest works are fantastic. I mean, I like her older YA dystopian novels also, but some of her newest like novels are just wonderful. The novellas, I'm not as big a fan of, although I enjoy reading them. They're not quite as impactful of, I think, her newest novels. And Constance is one I haven't read or heard of um at all. It looks like it might be a little bit more horror, but I don't know what it's about. I Let's see. So what are we at now? Nine. I think we're at 11 and a half read and one series DNF'd. Lost in Time. I haven't heard of this either. Um, on Earth as is on television. This looks hilarious. Um, I definitely want to read this. I'm gonna have to go put this on hold at the library because that looks great. I keep my exoskeletons to myself. I'm pretty sure I've heard of this one, but I haven't picked it up yet. And Children of Memory, again, this is one of Adrian Chervasi's series that I have, like, that I've been thinking about reading, but I have not even started the series yet, let alone read the third book in it. So no new updates there. Some Desperate Glory. I started this book. It's an arc. I'm in the middle of it. I haven't finished it yet. I need to because it's in an arc, but it wasn't quite jiving with me, honestly. But I need to give it another shot. I know it just wasn't the right time when I picked it up. The Paradox Hotel. No idea. This looks like it might be a little more horror sci-fi, but I'm not sure. In Ascension, um, interesting. Looks fascinating. I look at all of the blurbs on the front cover. Wow, that was a choice. But I haven't heard of that or read it. Um, Aurora, I haven't read either. Um, I like the cover. I think that's one that I will probably pick up. But I don't remember hearing about it. So now we're at 12 books read, um, and one series DNF. The Paul Murders, haven't read that either, but that definitely looks like something that I might enjoy. The Deluge, I haven't heard of this either. Wow, I have so many more books to add to my TBR. Mickey 7, I have this one on my TBR. I've heard really good things about it, and I've been meaning to pick it up, but I don't own it. Translation State, I have read. This is fantastic. I love Anne Lucky. She has a new short story one coming out also. Well, I mean, it's already out that I have on hold at the library that I want to read. So we're at 13 books read and one series DNF. The Woman Could Fly. That is an interesting cover. This looks like one that I would probably really enjoy and should pick up. Elder Rice again. Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the third book on this list, and I have not read anything by him. Several people are typing. A work from home comedy. Um, I wonder how this translates into it being science fiction, honestly, because just from the description, it doesn't seem like it should be. It seems more contemporary. So I would be interested in anyone who has read this if they think that it is actually science fiction. I do think some of these books may potentially be stretching the whole science fiction concept so that they could make the list 60. But without reading them, I have no idea. On the stars, this looks like a sci-fi romance, so probably not my favorites. But if I come across it, I'd probably read it. I cheerfully refuse. I have not heard of this either. And would be interested again in knowing how it's science fiction. Baby X. I haven't heard of this either. It looks like it's one of the newer ones. That looks fascinating. I might go pick that one up also. The Other Valley, a literary speculative novel. Again, are we pushing the boundaries of science fiction on this list? Or does this actually count? Literary speculative novel. Is that science fiction? I'm not sure because I haven't read the book. The Every, the Circle number 2. I actually started this and DNF'd it. I did not realize that it was the second book in a series, and so I picked it up because it looked like a good concept, but I actually found it problematic within the first couple of pages of reading it, and then realized it was the second book of the series and decided I will not be reading the series. So this is a DNF for me. And so that puts at 13 books read and 2 series DNF. Ocean's Echo. I have read this. I enjoy it. I know I don't read a lot of romance, but it's queer. What can I say? It was a good series. I enjoyed both of those books. Station Eternity, The Mid-Solar Murders. I haven't heard of this, but it definitely is something that I probably would pick up. 1984 Julia. A retelling of George Orwell. I'm absolutely going to pick this up. I didn't know it existed before today. The Surviving Sky. I started. I'm not sure it's enough to count it as like a half because I just started it, and this is ironic. I got it in ebook because it's the only way I could get it, and I had to turn it in because I wasn't reading ebooks when I got it, and now I'm only reading ebooks, so that happens. But I have started The Surviving Sky. I do plan to finish it. I'm going to count it as a half just because it started, but I didn't even get halfway into the book. So we're at 13 and a half books and 2 DNF of the series. And just looking through this, I'm going to say I think this list is a miss for me. I've read so much more science fiction in the last 3 years that didn't make it on here. And there's so many of these books that just looking at them, I question if they actually would be considered science fiction. I don't know. Is it just me? I would love your thoughts on this list. What is it missing? What do you think should be on it? Are any of the books that I question as being really eligible for a science fiction list. Maybe I'm wrong. I would love to know your thoughts, which ones I should prioritize. And as always, keep reading, keep writing, and until next time.